The internet we use every day is just the surface. Think of it like the top of the ocean. Search engines like Google can see everything there, but beneath that surface lies a vast hidden space. This is the deep web. It's a part of the internet that standard search engines can't find. You need special software like the Tor browser to even get a glimpse of what's down there. Originally designed for privacy and security, journalists, activists, military personnel. A noble idea, right? But in the shadows, other things begin to grow, things that prefer the dark. This hidden world is enormous. It's estimated to be hundreds of times larger than the surface web we know. Imagine every city you know. Now imagine 100 hidden cities for each one, all existing in a digital space. A digital Wild West, no sheriffs, no rules, where the darkest parts of human nature run free. Our first story begins with an ordinary person, a gamer we'll call Mark. Mark loved online gaming communities. He spent his evenings chatting with other players. He spent his evenings competing in his favorite games. One day, while browsing a forum on the surface web, he saw a strange offer. A user was giving away a high-value item for a popular online game, a rare digital sword worth hundreds of dollars. The catch? The transaction had to be completed through a specific link, a link that led to a marketplace on the deep web. Mark was hesitant, but the prize was too tempting to ignore. He downloaded the Tor browser, the key to unlocking this hidden part of the internet. The process felt clandestine, like he was doing something forbidden. He navigated the slow, clunky network to the specified address. The site looked basic, almost amateurish, but there it was, the prize. He followed the instructions. He entered a code provided by the anonymous user. He claimed the sword. It was surprisingly easy. A few minutes later, the item appeared in his game inventory. He had won, or so he thought. He closed the Tor browser, thinking the adventure was over. A few days later, strange things started to happen. Mark received an email from an unknown sender. It contained a single photo, a picture of the front of his own house, taken from across the street. His blood ran cold. How did they know where he lived? The next day, another email arrived. This time, it was a picture of him sitting at his computer, taken through his bedroom window. Panic set in. He was being watched. The emails continued, each one more personal and more terrifying than the last. The mysterious sender knew his daily routine. They knew his friends' names. They even knew what he ate for dinner. The anonymous user from the gaming forum had never intended to give him a gift. The link wasn't just a simple marketplace, it was a trap. By visiting the site, Mark had unknowingly downloaded spyware onto his computer. This software gave the stalker complete access to his files. It gave access to his webcam. It gave access to his location. The prize was just the bait. Mark was forced to live in a state of constant fear, a prisoner in his own home, all because he clicked on a link. He had to involve the police. He had to involve cybersecurity experts. They worked to scrub his digital life clean, a long and arduous process that left him forever changed. What makes Mark's story so deeply unsettling is how it starts from a place of innocence. He wasn't looking for trouble. He was just a gamer, participating in his hobby. This is what makes the story so relatable, and therefore so terrifying. It could happen to anyone. Our next story ventures into even stranger territory. It revolves around a horror game that surfaced on the deep web called Sad Satan. The game was first brought to public attention by a YouTuber named Jamie who ran the channel Obscure Horror Corner. A subscriber sent him a link, found on the deep web, to an unusual game file. Intrigued by the promise of something truly disturbing, Jamie downloaded it and began to play. The game itself was simple in its design. The player walks through dark, maze-like corridors, but the atmosphere was anything but simple. As Jamie navigated the black and white hallways, the game was filled with unsettling elements. Distorted audio clips, strange noises, cryptic messages would play at random. The screen would flash with disturbing images, including photos of infamous criminals and political figures. One of the most chilling parts was the audio. It included backward-playing interviews with notorious murderers like Charles Manson. The game had no clear objective, no enemies to fight, and no end. It was just an endless, looping nightmare designed to disorient and disturb the player. The situation took a darker turn as Jamie continued to play. The game started creating bizarre text files on his computer's desktop. These files were filled with cryptic symbols and nonsensical gibberish. It was as if the game was alive, reaching out from its digital confines and into his personal files. Jamie grew increasingly worried. He was a seasoned horror game enthusiast, but this was different. This felt real, invasive, and malicious. Mark was forced to live in a state of constant fear, a prisoner in his own home. All because he clicked on a link. This story begins not with a curious browser but with an unsuspecting man we'll call David. David's grandfather passed away, and while going through his belongings he found an old wooden box. Inside were keepsakes, a faded piece of paper with a long, complex string of letters and numbers. It was a private key for a Bitcoin wallet. David, who knew a little about cryptocurrency, was intrigued. His grandfather had never been tech-savvy. This was out of character. He decided to investigate. Using the key, David accessed the wallet and was shocked by what he found. It contained a significant amount of Bitcoin worth over $1 million, but there was something else, a series of small, strange payments in the transaction history. Each payment had a note attached. The notes were written in code. They looked like GPS coordinates, dates, cryptic abbreviations. Confused and unnerved, David dug deeper. He noticed a recurring payment to a specific address on the deep web, a site known as a dark market. With dread, David opened Tor and visited the market, a grim, illegal marketplace where anything could be bought and sold. He searched the recipient address from his grandfather's wallet. The search led to a user profile, a hitman for hire. The coded messages suddenly made sense. They weren't random notes. They were contracts. The GPS coordinates equal sign locations. The dates equal sign deadlines. The abbreviations equal sign details about the targets. His kind, quiet grandfather had used the deep web to order assassinations. The discovery shattered David's perception of the man he knew. The money wasn't an inheritance. It was blood money. He now held a digital ledger documenting horrific crimes. He faced a terrible choice: turn the information over to the police and risk his family's name, or delete the wallet and live with the secret. The deep web had revealed a secret darker than he could imagine, a legacy of violence hidden in a string of code. Perhaps the most famous story from the deep web is not about a single user, but about an entire empire. This is the story of the Silk Road. Launched in 2011, the Silk Road was a massive online marketplace hidden on the deep web. To the outside world it didn't exist, but to its users, it was the Amazon of illegal goods. Using the Tor browser Bitcoin for anonymous payments, people could buy and sell almost anything. Heavy focus on illegal drugs. It was a thriving billion-dollar enterprise operating completely outside the law. The creator and operator was a mysterious figure known only by the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts. For years he ran the site with a libertarian philosophy: free to buy and sell as long as it didn't harm a third party. The site had user reviews, seller profiles, customer support, just like any legitimate e-commerce website. This created a strange sense of order and professionalism in a world of chaos. It made the illegal feel normal, safe, accessible to anyone with a computer and some cryptocurrency. However, the shadow of the Silk Road grew darker over time. The no-harm policy began to crumble. The site became a hub for drugs, forged documents, hacking services, other illicit materials. The real horror emerged when Dread Pirate Roberts was faced with threats to his empire. According to law enforcement, a former employee threatened to reveal user identities. Dread Pirate Roberts allegedly commissioned his murder. He is said to have paid a hitman on the very same site he created to eliminate the threat. This act transformed the story into cold-blooded violence. The man who started with an ideal of a free market had allegedly resorted to murder for hire to protect his creation. In 2013, the FBI shut down the Silk Road and arrested Ross Ulbricht. He was convicted of money laundering, computer hacking, drug trafficking. Although never convicted for the attempted murders, the accusations cast a long, dark shadow over the legacy of the Silk Road, a chilling example of how power corrupts, even in the digital world. Our final story is a stark warning about the devices we use every day. It centers on a young woman we'll name Chloe. Like many people her age, Chloe spent a lot of time on her laptop, using it for school, talking to friends, browsing the internet. She never thought twice about the small camera lens at the top of her screen. It was just a part of the computer. One day she received a friend request on social media from a profile she didn't recognize. The profile picture was a candid photo of her, sitting at her desk, looking tired. She had never seen the photo before. Confused and a little scared, she ignored the request, but then the messages started. The anonymous person sent her more photos, all taken in her own room, studying, watching movies, sleeping. The horrifying realization dawned on her. Someone was watching her through her own webcam. The small indicator light next to the lens, which was supposed to turn on when the camera was active, never lit up. The hacker had found a way to activate the camera remotely and secretly, turning her personal space into a live stream for a hidden audience. The harassment escalated. The hacker sent her messages commenting on her conversations, her clothes, her habits. They threatened to release the private photos and the videos to her friends and family if she didn't do what they said. Chloe was trapped,